A great day for Michigan State basketball. Frankie Fidler commits, but hold your horses on all the happiness, folks. Not a great day for football. We're going to get into all of it with the one, the only Stephen Brooks. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go. The mobile hit twists on the classic Monopoly, so join your friends and download Monopoly Go for free on the App Store or Google Play. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below, do whatever makes you happy, because I'm doing something that makes me happy today. I'm talking with the one, the only, Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports. This guy is the reigning champion of guest appearances on this show. I can't believe he keeps saying yes, but Stephen, before we get into the emotional roller coaster of today, man, are we doing okay over there?
I'm decent. I don't know. Don't want to get all the way into it, but you know what's going on. So I'm all right. I'm shifting into off-season mode as of Sunday. So that's kind of nice. I kind of feel myself sliding, away from the grind a little bit. I got some vacation coming up, so that's all good.
Oh, look at you.
And I want to say I love the sponsor for today with Monopoly, whatever. I mean,
you know it.
College sports has never looked more like the game of Monopoly than right now. Everyone's running around big bags of money and trying to grab more and cleaning up property. And so, I mean, that's the sponsor fits absolutely perfectly.
That's unfortunately a fantastic segue, Stephen. Because, look, hey, guys, it's going to be happy eventually, this show, right? Like, Frankie Fidler, he commits to Michigan State basketball. I'm a huge fan of his game. This means great things for MSU basketball. And roughly about 45 minutes, give or take, a few minutes here or there after Frankie Fidler commits MSU basketball, MSU football against dealt just some great, outstanding news, Stephen. As if losing one starting defensive tackle and Simeon Barrow to the transfer portal wasn't enough, well, how about another one? Derrick Harmon, he is dipping into the transfer portal. This, just like his friend Simeon, was also in the transfer portal over the winter. Now, he had a lot of suitors, of course, Oregon, Ohio State, Auburn, but he comes back home to Michigan State. What a beautiful story. It's great. He's going to finish it out kind of at his hometown school, so to speak, but nevertheless, he's out of here. Stephen, I'll let you do the hard work here. How do you spin this one positive? Because I've got nothing for the people. This sucks. This is a kick in the you-know-whats, man.
Yeah, no, there is no positive spin. I mean, I think Derrick was on pace to sort of be in the discussion of an all Big Ten type of player. I mean, a lot of people had good things to say about him this spring. And I thought he was going to be, in every transition, there's always a couple guys from the pre-coaching transition. There's always a couple guys that hang around that serve as like that foundational bridge, to the next guy, and is like fully bought in and brings everybody with him. I thought Derrick Harmon was going to be one of those guys. I guess maybe could still, but I mean, it seems highly unlikely that he's back in. I thought winning him back in the December period, like you said, going to Oregon, Ohio State, Auburn was in there and all that. I thought when they won him back that time, it was going to be it. But, the transfer market, the defensive tackle specifically transfer market is on fire right now. You start hearing some buzz about that sort of nationally, a couple weeks ago as spring balls were winding down, that, there'd be some heavy hitters out there really desperate for interior D-line play, which, that's everybody is, and there's no program in the country that's going to turn down like a quality starting level D tackle. But apparently some guys were really thirsty for one. And so that market's been going crazy. You saw Simeon Barrow go in. Like you said, this all just happened, so I don't have anything concrete, but I can only imagine that Derrick Harmon probably had an idea, at least, let's say, of that market right now and maybe what's flying around. And he was, let's also say on the record, he was being compensated very, very well by Michigan State. They didn't bring him back for free after the December deal. So, he had, he was in a good situation there, but, it's this college football world. Like there's always somebody who's more desperate than you, I guess is the best way to put it. And maybe there's always somebody with more money than you. I don't, that depends, but there's always someone more desperate, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, there's no spinning as a positive. The D line was, maybe going to be the best unit on the team if you had Barrow and Harmon in there. You're talking about two all Big Ten type of guys. Harmon was on the ascent and Barrow kind of been there, but just injuries had always sort of held him back a little bit. But when available, that was going to be a heck of a duo, a heck of a foundation to build everything else upon in Joe Rossi's defense, and sort of give them a chance, I thought, to hang in there. Now, they were already going to be active. I think they will, they definitely have to be active now in terms of securing some replacements up front. I thought Quindarius Dunnigan looked good in the spring game, and I think he's a guy that could actually play inside maybe in certain situations. I think he gives you some versatility, but still you're going to want another guy or two in the middle there, and I expect they address that.
No, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, Quindarius Dunnigan, he was one of the bright spots, especially on defense for us in the spring game. But still, nevertheless, this was the strength of the team, definitely on the defensive side of the ball, and maybe just overall on this team was that defensive front because of Barrow and Harmon. But how far did it swing over to the other side here? Because right now, obviously, DeQuan Dallas, that's a nice transfer portal pickup from Georgia Tech. You have Maverick Hansen, who's been here since the John L. Smith days back in 2006. That's a very, very experienced player. But they're not Barrow and Harmon, so is it still the strength of the defense, though? Is there another group that has stepped up to be the strength? How far did they really drop off as far as the hierarchy in MSU's own team go, you think?
Yeah, quite a bit, I would say. I don't think you can call them the strength anymore. I don't necessarily know what you do call it. I mean, maybe the linebacker room, you got some experience there, but we haven't seen a lot of it in action in this defense. But, yeah, I mean, you're talking about Barrow and Harmon as probably – definitely maybe the two best pro prospects on your team for next year. Those are guys that are going to be in NFL conversations next spring. I don't know how many other guys you can say that about right now for sure. They absolutely would have been. Like I said, all Big Ten type of guys, the potential at least. So absolutely, I don't see another all Big Ten guy in that line. I don't know how many other, all Big Ten guys are on that defense necessarily. Maybe there's one or two, some of those DBs are getting older. And like I said, there's a lot of different guys in the linebacker room that maybe somebody pops out there, but yeah, there's I don't know that you can call it. I don't think you can call it the strength there anymore. And just overall, the roster is lesser now. The star power, the NFL potential, all that stuff is taking a step back if both those guys are out the door.
I promise this episode will get more happy, guys. Again, Frankie Fidler talk coming up. Next segment, stay tuned. But, Steven, I want to roll back the clock here because, folks, peek behind the curtain. Me and Steven have known each other for quite some time. We worked seemingly 7 days a week together at the State News. And I'm sure you've heard me, sit down and cry and whine about many things to you over the years. So allow me to do that just one more time, Steven, because I know our livelihoods depend on college sports. This is what we do. This just sucks though. I'm not just talking about Derrick leaving, simulate this whole landscape. I'm sorry, I finally cracked. This was a straw that broke my back. We can objectively say this sucks unless you're a fan of one of 7 of the bluest of blood teams in college football, because it is just 24/7 free agency. Hey, we get Barrow back, we get Harmon back. Hey, here's a boatload of money to come back, and that money was spent for the months of January, February, March, and most of April. Not ideal months to be spending money on, and MSU NIL coffers might get some back nevertheless, but this is just a rambling way of saying, can we just fast forward to whatever the next step is of college football? I'm just so sick of the 24/7 free agency, no sense of commonality with rosters and all. It's just, I'm sorry, it sucks. That was a lot that I just threw at you, but just thank you for letting me just cry on your shoulder for a little bit there.
Sure. I mean, I think you're saying what everyone's feeling. It's like so much of, you don't have a favorite player anymore. There's so much of the fun of college sports.
You better not have one. Right.
I think of the people, I know people that got Keon Coleman jerseys for Christmas. And then 4 months later he was gone. You can't watch your guys develop. You can't watch your program develop. Every year is its own thing in a vacuum right now. Like you say, hopefully in this next phase, somebody figures something out that makes sense for everybody. Because it's not the, and I think so many people get this confused. It's not the fact that these kids are making money that's frustrating people. But it's the effects of the money on the game and the transactions and everything. It's not the pure black and white fact that, hey, they're getting paid pretty good amounts in most cases. It's not that these kids have money in their accounts. That's not it. But it's the effect, that drives them here or there, induces them to do this and that, and it just destabilizes the whole deal. So, yeah, I mean, I am very concerned. I mean, as somebody who wants to do this through retirement age, I am legitimately concerned about how much people will care 10 years from now, if not sooner, 20, ideally 2030, but even 5 years from now, how much are people going to care? Because the other thing is yeah, there's the thing about like watching your programs grow and all that, but like there's no loyalty either anymore in the sense of like you got guys going in the basketball side flipping from Michigan to Ohio State and back.
Right. Nasty.
You got the running back that was at Florida went to Georgia, or vice versa, whatever. Kid from Clemson's little brother, Etienne. Florida and Georgia hate each other. Flip down there. Penny Boone today, Detroit kid, is now looking at Georgia or Kentucky. Kentucky being the arch rival of Louisville, where he's leaving. So just that type of stuff, I think, is only going to accelerate it. That's something that we haven't talked about as much or seen as much. But I mean, when you start getting Oklahoma kids going to Texas and whatnot, you got this other kid. I don't even know his name, but he's gone USC to UCLA, and now they're saying he's going back to USC. Some receiver or something out there. So yeah, awesome. I mean, when that stuff dies, then we're on a slippery slope to nowhere.
I hate it here, man. And look, obviously, I'm going to be watching Michigan State until I'm 6 feet under, or they put me in the oven. Like, whatever they want to do to me after my time is over, which could be very well as this upcoming fall with how much stress college sports brings me. But for the common fan, yeah, of course they're going to start dropping out. Why would they stick around for all this nonsense? This is ridiculous. Steven, it's time to be happy. Are you ready to put your happy pants on? Because I am. Because Devil went down to Georgia, baby. We're going to play the fiddles here in a little bit, talk Frankie Fidler, Michigan State basketball. But first, you need to talk your ear off about FanDuel Sportsbook, the number one sportsbook in the game, especially, guys. What a time of year to get in on the action with NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, MLB is opening up their season. Stephen Brooks' favorite sport over there. That's right. He'll give you some MLB picks when he gets back. And also, of course, guys, if you're like me, you love fancying a wager on the golf season. So it gets even better for you new customers out there because, hey, new customers, you get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That is $150. Win or lose, you don't have to sweat the spread or the totals, your player props, your same-game parlays. But, hey, you could sweat all of those after you bet a wager over at FanDuel with some of that free $150. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to dunks, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So, what are you guys waiting for out there? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. Again, guys, that is FanDuel.com/lockedon. It's FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. Now let's drag him back on here, the one, the only Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports. And we're going to smile this segment. We're going to do it. All right. I know that's a little negative in the first 11 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. Just not thrilled to see the defensive tackle leave. But, hey, football died. So Michigan State basketball can thrive and survive. It's Frankie Fidler, transfer from Omaha, averaged 20 points, 6 rebounds a game. We got some other stats we're going to get into. But, Steven, scale of 1 to 10, let's do it this way. This is a nice, easy, lazy way to do it. Scale 1 to 10, how big of a pickup is this for Michigan State and the basketball Spartans?
So, I mean, like in terms of fit and need, it's a 10. But I don't want to act like he's like a 10-level player. He's a good player.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to come in, like you've seen some other guys do and, make that jump from mid-major to the power leagues and go crazy, like Damascus, Illinois sort of comes to mind.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see that type of jump. But in terms of, again, fit and need, they needed somebody like that. You look at it, I mean, that was one of the weaknesses last year. It was so small that it didn't really matter, but just size on the wing. They didn't have that 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", long-armed 3-and-D guy or whatever, whatever type of game, but just that bigger body as a true small forward swingman wing type. So now they do. Even with Jade Naken's coming back, Trey Holloman's going to be there, can play both roles. Right. And the guy that I even keep forgetting about a little bit is Garrick Norman coming off his red shirt. I think he'll factor in there, but it was a hole that was pretty obvious. And I think the more that you sat with it, it was like, yeah, actually, that's probably even bigger than at center. Because at least at center they have bodies. They do have some options. Now those guys need to get better, of course, and whatnot. But they didn't really have anybody in Frankie Fidler's mold. So proven scorer, 3-point shooter, can rebound a little bit for you. I mean, should be an instant fit offensively. So, very, very good. Like I said, in terms of what they needed, it's a 10 out of 10.
And I'm going to sound like a broken record right now because when we've been talking Frankie Fidler, I've been saying, like, you need a wing like that. Not even for the 20 points that he brings to your team or the 6 rebounds, but it's just what everyone else can do on the roster. Like, Akins can now play the 2 most of the time. I'm sure he'll dip down to the 3 ever so often. But you could have Cohen Carr play more the 4. 2 guys where I think those are the natural positions into just kind of hodgepodging something working over there at the 3. And just like you said, Garrick Norman, he's there. But this will be his first full-time season as a player that's actually, playing during the season. One more year behind a seasoned veteran like Frankie Fidler only helps here. So, and then you add in his, 20 points, 6 rebounds a game. And I don't expect him to go off for 20 points every single night here, but still, nevertheless, double-digit scoring is not too far-fetched. It's just an all-around it's a nice win for Michigan State basketball, and it silences the people, again, that were just sobbing all offseason. Like myself, Steven, it silences them for a little bit because finally we got some.
No way.
Very unlike me, I know. I just be overreactionary about how patient Michigan State basketball is doing. I'm usually very even-keeled when it comes to having to wait for some things, right. Steven. I know. Right. Very, very strange of me to do that this offseason. But, Steven, can I share a stat with you that's maybe my favorite stat that Frankie Fidler brings to the table?
Go right on ahead.
Thanks for saying yes. If you said no, I don't know how we're going to transition out of that. But 7.7 is the number, and Steven, that stands for free throw attempts per game from Frankie Fidler last year. Now, this guy is a shooter. He is an 85% career free throw shooter, and this isn't just a strength that Fidler brings to the table. This is a glaring weakness Michigan State has had, not just last year, but for the last few years. I'm going to run down some numbers here. Last year, Michigan State 276th in the nation at free throw attempts. Malik led the team with just 3.6 attempts per game. The year before that, MSU 320th in the nation. AJ Hogard, 4.6 attempts, was the leader on the team. The year before that, 197th. The year before that, 178th. The year before that, 205th. Steven, it has been since the final 4 seasons since any Spartan has averaged 5 or more free throw attempts per game, and that was Cassius Winston in 2019, averaging 5 attempts on the dot. It's pretty easy to score in the game of basketball. You like that? Thank you. That's right. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Pay the interns a little more. Yeah, you got to pay the interns there.
I will. I'll slide them an extra slice of hot and ready pizza because that's what I pay them in. But that's what we're looking at here. It's just easy baskets, guys. And this is what he brings to the table. Yes, he can shoot the three-pointer, but he can slash to the hoop. He can draw contact. And when you're shooting these things at 85%, guys, that's going to work. That's like 6 free points that you're getting every single game just on the free throw line. So, God, it's about time that we get someone, and the Big Ten officials are known to blow whistles, as we know. It's nice to get someone that craves contact around the rim. So I just wanted to bring that stat up. As great of a player as he is, just on all the box score numbers that we all love to oogle at, that's one that my eyes just really pop out at right there. So that's what I got.
No, that's a great call. Great observation. Absolutely. It's been something that's been missing here. They just haven't had a lot of guys really with that skill set, and especially last year. I think with Fierce coming in, he might give him a little bit of that.
Yeah, I hope so.
Akins just hasn't been a guy I thought could be, but he just doesn't really get to the line a lot. So yeah, that's an underutilized thing. And I'll be curious to see because he does only have the 1 year here, so it's not like you get the Izzo sort of indoctrination season and then boom, go off in year 2. It's kind of, there's going to be a lot on him right away. And they're losing a lot of scoring, between Malik, Tyson, and AJ. That's a lot of points out the door. So however you got to get it done, they needed some offensive punch coming in, and he's got a lot that they can do. He's got a lot that they can work with. Defensively is probably going to be the question. I'm sure there's going to be some instances where Twitter's on fire because, he gets backdoored or whatever, and Izzo sits in the rest of the half, and everyone's like, what the heck? He just went 4 for 4, something like that. But, they'll figure that out, and then you hope, of course, by, January, February, he's got the system down, and, the kinks have been worked out on that end. So, there's some work to do. I think we'll have to see how he is as a defender at this level, but again, he brings a lot that you needed offensively, and should be a turnkey sort of day one starter for him.
And really quick, just to end this segment, I want to clean up some of the slop that I left on the table to end yesterday's show. We talked that maybe Trey Townsend could be visiting on Tuesday. There was many conflicting reports whether he was going to be on campus. Now, this is the guy that's from Oakland, Horizon League Player of the Year. Nevertheless, as I stopped recording last night, it came out on Twitter, courtesy of Tony Paul of Detroit News, that visit was not going to happen. It was iffy who canceled on who, but nevertheless, looks like Ohio State is all in on Trey Townsend. Michigan State, obviously out of the picture there. They have one more scholarship spot. We'll see how they use it. Is it just easy to say that they should use it on a center, even though they're not really contacting any, Steven? That's probably boring, but accurate.
Yeah, if it's going to be used, that's where I would expect it to be used. And I think there's a non-zero chance that it is used on a big man. but probably closer to the 0 to than people want or hope, is guess how I would put it. But yeah, so the Townsend thing is not happening according to a lot of reports, including Justin Thind, who works with me, and have said that that's not going to happen. So that's he's a good player. I thought it would have worked. To me, it had to be Townsend and I don't think Townsend could have been your only addition. So if it would have been Townsend and Fiddler, I think that's really interesting. But if it would only been Trey Townsend, I just think he doesn't quite fit exactly what they needed. You'd love him as a bonus, and that's probably even demeaning to the guy because he's a really good player. But right, just in terms of fit and with Booker at the 4 and minutes and all, it would have been a little trickier adding him. But that's kind of how I felt about it. But yeah, I think there's still a chance that they might do something else. You never know. Old Tom Izzo, the portal master, we all know him.
Right.
You can't count him out in something like this.
No,
you
sir.
never know.
He's in the lab cooking right now. No, I'm glad we're aligned on Townsend because I've been saying a lot of the same thing. Like, I don't know if we need just him, but yeah, if it's Fiddler and him, you could. But nevertheless, we don't have to talk about it anymore because it ain't happening. We're going to switch it back to some football. This is going to be happier than the first football segment. We're going to be talking NFL draft and our Spartans here in a hot segment. First, you need to talk your ears off on Stephen Brooks' new favorite game, Monopoly Go. That is right. We've all been there. Either as a player or a fan, it's halftime, and the scoreboard isn't looking too good. You're feeling low, not sure if you or the team can pull out the win, and that's when you got to dig deep, lift your head up, and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much money from my friends as I possibly can. That's right. It's a smash mobile hit game. Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's a Monopoly you love, but on your phone, anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards, so you can compare yourself to your buddies. And there's so much to do, like play on countless of dynamic Monopoly boards. You can make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball or charge their rent. Just astronomical prices for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends too if you want to mix it up and actually be friendly to crack open community chests in tournaments and get rewards and climb that leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or Google Play. Also, need to talk your ears off about Gametime, my favorite ticketing app out there. Folks, if there's a ticketed event in your area, we're talking sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, whatever it is, Gametime is your place to be. They hook it up because they have your wallet in mind. If you're a last-minute person like I am, when you're walking up to the venue, open up your phone, go to Gametime, see what their last-minute ticket deals are. Or if you actually plan ahead, well, even days in advance, open your phone, check out their flash deals because they always have something going on over at Gametime. It's so easy. You get an actual picture of what your seats will look like. It's not some AI rendering. No. You get the legitimate look. They're sent straight to your phone after you buy them. And best of all, guys, right when you start, Gametime is going to save you money right off the top. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. It's last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. And Stephen Brooks still hanging around here on Locked On Spartans. Thanks a lot, man. I really do appreciate you. You want to talk NFL draft and our Michigan State Spartans here?
Sure. You going down there and doing any of the stuff in the city?
I really wanted to. I want to take the kid down there and everything. He's 3. He would need a stroller. And I was looking it up today. It's like they're basically saying no parking anywhere unless you want to park in Milford and walk on down. So right. Having a little tyke walk 3 miles to get out of this is a long way of saying that. No, probably not. That's probably a way longer answer than you bargained for. That's a look inside of my life, Stephen, as a fun, thrilling suburban dad of 2 kids. That's how large we live over here. So, anyone getting drafted, Stephen? Look, I know Nick Samak. He was the lone Spartan to get the combine invite. I've seen him mocked anywhere from the 6th round to not drafted at all. They had the pro day, and I'll go through the names that were at the MSU pro day really quick. Aaron Brule, J.D. Duplain, Jalen Franklin, Harold Joyner, Chester Kimbrough, Trey Mosley, Nick Samak, of course, Jalen Sami, Jacoby Women, and Brandon Wright. Are we going to hear any names these 3 days here at the NFL draft, you think? What do you got for me, Stephen?
I don't think so. I mean, if I had to guess, no would be heavily juiced, on the sports book. I don't know if you got any sponsors there or whatever, but yeah, I mean, I highly doubt it. Samak's probably the best shot, but he hasn't been able to do like any real like testing or stuff like, physical stuff. I just have a hard time seeing these teams spend a draft pick on him. It'd be one thing if he was like a third round guy before the injury and somebody felt like they had to get him, or was willing to take that. But like he was a fringe guy before the injury. So I just don't see somebody using a draft pick. He'll definitely get an opportunity, and I think he'll stay around, hang around, and probably have to make his mark like next year in OTAs and preseason and all that, training camp and all that. But I don't think so. I mean, look, my socks went flying off when Amir Speed's name was called. So crazier things have happened. Yeah. Who would that be? I mean, I don't know if like Aaron Brule put up crazy numbers at Pro Day that I'm aware of, but like maybe that's maybe somebody saw something. Like I don't think anybody had a Brent Van Sumeren day where it's like, whoa, everybody come take a look at this guy. Jalen Sami's got good measurables, has a little bit of tape to him, from Colorado and everything. I don't think so there though. To me, like Jacoby Windman's the guy though that's interesting. I don't think he'll be a draft pick either, probably. But he's the guy that's like, if you heard like, he's on an active roster for game one, like that would check out. I would buy that. I think he'll definitely go to a camp somewhere, and you just gotta wait and see from there. But he's the guy that I think is interesting and probably has the best chance to stick as an undrafted guy.
That Samek injury last year, like I don't know if there's a 5-second span last year that was more of a great microcosm of the whole season than that right there. Kaden Hauser fumbling the ball, then fumbling over his own feet, and then just dive bombing right into his senior offensive line's back legs to cripple him for the rest of the season. Like I remember just sitting on the couch despondent, being like, "Of course that just happened. Why wouldn't that all happen?" So
I think it was the first drive too. I want to say it was the first drive. It was at least early in the game, yeah. So just sort of like you said, microcosm of the season, very early whack. Things changed, and if not for the better. Just like they did early in the season. So, yeah, that was tough. And timing-wise for him, it couldn't have been much worse. I mean, I don't think –
No kidding, right? I know.
Much of anything.
That's the thing. It's like you feel like all you can do is just sit back and laugh, but it's not funny at all because, he is a senior and he was going right up against the NFL draft. That was very late in the season, but my God, just what a comedy of errors last season was. You would think you were watching some sitcom, some low-budget sitcom if you didn't know any better last year. That was – sorry, those memories just came rushing back to my head. JD Duplain fascinates me. Again, I don't expect him to hear his name, but he did do okay at the pro day. I know that he did solid at the bench. I think he would have ranked 4th among centers. I might have to fact check that, but amongst if he went to the combine, that is. And also just durability too. I mean, because he's played over 3,000 snaps of football. That's a guy, again, like camp invite. We'll see what shakes out there, but yeah, it's going to be a sleepy weekend for Michigan State football, I think. I hate to say it, but we're going to shoot you guys straight. I don't think it's going to be a lot of Spartan.
You're not counting Keon Coleman, I assume, right? No.
Well, okay, so here's – I might be in the minority here because, there was a mock draft that had Keon Coleman going to Detroit, and, there were some State fans that were fired up, being like, oh, yeah, we're – I think this is where the cutoff is between, are you a fun-loving young person or are you an old grouch that likes to yell at clouds? Because, honestly – I ain't gonna get a Coleman jersey. I get that he was on the court, for senior day and everything, but I'm sorry, he's not the Spartan dog for life that a lot of other people claim. And I know that people are gonna be very upset at me saying this. Believe me, I know that he's a prodigal son for a lot of people. But
I'm sorry for opening this can. Jeez.
No, please, no. This is great. This is healthy conversation. It's about time people know my thoughts on this. But I remember him scoring 3 touchdowns for the Seminoles to start the season last year. Not Michigan State. And I will also, I'm not, an idiot. I'm fully aware that he made the best decision for himself. I think it worked out way better for him last year, but still, I'm a Michigan State Spartan fan. I'm not a part-time Spartan fan. The guys that played here for a little bit and moved on. You come here and you finish out your career here if you want to be a Spartan dog for life. That's just the simple rules that I have. But again, I think I'm at the wrong end of the cutoff here between nice, fun-loving people that have a healthy relationship with college sports and grumps. I think I'm at the wrong end here, Steven.
That's a bigger conversation.
That's okay.
To circle it back to the top, I mean, when you lose Barrow and Harmon, because I was going to say, but they'll probably get shut out this year, but they'll be back next year. I mean, maybe. Maybe. Yeah,
Who's to say?
That's a lot of projection. Yeah, I mean, look, guys like Jaden Mangham and Malik Spencer will be eligible. Maybe they have big years. Absolutely possible.
Yeah, right.
Jack Velling will be eligible. Absolutely possible. Nate Carter
Yeah.
will be eligible. There's a couple guys, but, nobody that you're sure would leave or would be able to necessarily. Now, look, I definitely would predict they have one in 2025. One of those guys I just mentioned probably will leave.
Yeah.
Cat Halliday will be moving on, I think. Maybe he's still got some more to him. Maybe he's interesting. I don't know. But Harmon and Barrow were probably, like I said earlier, probably the first two that came to mind when you talk about them. So I don't think we're going to be looking at a 2-year drought, but I do think you're probably looking at, for the second time in 3 years now, nobody from Michigan State. Wait, is that right? Yeah, 21. No,
okay.
Second time in 4 years.
No, I got to do math. Yeah, 4 years sounds right. Yeah, give or take 1 or 2. Well, I'll edit all this out if that ends up being not true. But hey, Steve, I'm such a good podcast host that over there on the rundown, if you're watching on YouTube, I have Andrew DePape's name written down. I have yet to even say his name so far. So really quick, Andrew DePape, he's in the portal. Kind of alluded to it yesterday. He wasn't even in the stadium for the spring showcase on Saturday. There's a lot of names, as things stand right now, at least, in the defensive end room. So he is out. I don't know if you have any grand take that you want to leave us with here, but I just wanted to bring that up. Andrew DePape, he's gone. So
yeah. No, I mean, one of the higher ranked recruits that Mel Tucker brought in, I thought the kid had a ton of talent when he came in. I was surprised that he hasn't been able to get involved sooner. He did come in a little banged up. He had like a shoulder deal or something. I don't know how far that set him back initially. But I think he's a talented guy that has some ability. Again, surprised it didn't come together sooner. I'll just say too, like BT Jordan, was such a big part of his recruitment that with him being gone and then Marco Coleman also being gone, like I just don't think there was a lot of connective tissue there, like holding him down super tight. So
right.
That's I think part of it. If Brandon Jordan somehow was still here, maybe things are different. But we'll see where that goes. I think he's got good football ahead of him still, and we'll see where he ends up, I guess.
Well, thank you, everyone, for riding that 32-minute long emotional roller coaster. Thank you, Stephen, for being the even-keeled head, the calming presence on the show, as you oftentimes are. And, folks, if you're out there and you have any experience building a roof, I'll give you Stephen Brooks' address right after the show, and you can just drive over there and build this man a roof because is there anything above your head right now? Is that the issue, or how bad of an issue are we talking over there?
No, it's fortunately it's minor, but
okay, that's good. Okay,
yeah, it's being treated very minor by the company as well. That's my issue is that's trying to get in touch with folks and get them over here. But we'll handle it. We'll get it figured out.
Yeah, folks, we will be back tomorrow. I think we're gonna have another guest on. I'm not sure. I don't want to jinx anything because we jinx everything on this show. Hey, we didn't jinx the Frankie Fidler thing at least, so we got that to,
Frankie Fiddler joining live tomorrow.
Dude, that'd be awesome. Sweet name, by the way. God, I just love the name Frankie Fidler. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch next year. All right, folks, I'm going to get Steven out of here. I won't hold him hostage any longer. You guys are the best. See you all tomorrow. Love you all. Go Green.